Now, when I say Insomniac games or Xbox exclusives, usually people just think of the classic. So basically Halo, or Halo,
okay, bye, Eddie.
or yeah, just Halo, to be honest. And with Insomniac games, it's either Ratchet and Clank or the new Spider-Man games. But for me, when I think of Xbox exclusives, the game that comes to mind is Sunset Overdrive. A game with some of the best movement mechanics in the field, and a sense of style directly taken from the old classics like Tony Hawk, with a little bit of Teenage Rebellion dribbled in there as well. Yet in saying that, it was barely able to turn over a profit when it released. But in a world now where games prioritize just being a video game and having plain old fun are succeeding in every single field, it always made me think that Sunset Overdrive was the Xbox exclusive. The game just opens up to a character creator, which, like any other person, I decided to make the character that looked the most like me. You know, I thought it would be a good idea to buy a costume off Temu just for the fun of it. And I don't know how else to mention, I can feel this costume like on my skin. Now, I'm going to be the first to say, is this character creator some beautiful thing where you're going to spend the next 24 hours crafting this amazing, beautiful creature? No. But it's still pretty good, as it's the game's first way of introducing you to its main theme, which is self-expression, which it does through giving you an absolutely absurd amount of options in customization. But once you're done making your character, the story now begins. The game opens up to your character by the name of the player. He never gets called that in-game, but next to the subtitles it says the player, so that's what we're gonna call him. And then it shows this massive DJing EDM event where the big bad company Fizco is showing off their new drink, Overcharge. Drink it, they turn into big, puffy, giant monsters with no eyes called the OD. With this, the game then throws you headfirst into the chaos with the main objective to get back to your apartment. Now, this serves as the game's kind of main tutorial, where it introduces you to the three main parts of this game, which are the combat, the movement, and the comedy, which you need to love all three of them because it's kind of the game's main crutch to cover all of its shortcomings, but we don't need to talk about that. At this point, it does become extremely obvious that the game's heavily based off late 80s to early 90s skating culture specifically, more the one that's like, fuck the system, and I'm gonna show that I've got self-expression because I'm wearing baggy jeans. The game does this through its clearly punk rock inspired soundtrack with classics like OD Life, where it says the word diarrhea 8 times in the song. Diarrhea! The movement though, more specifically, oh boy, this is some like lick your lips type movement, okay? This movement is so good. The movement here is highly inspired by the Tony Hawk's franchise with a tiny bit of Jet Set Radio like sprinkled in there as well, which is shown through your ability to use massive jump pads, wall running, and more specifically, the grinding. And its large emphasis on looking as stylish as possible at all times. Now, I will say that I think for the most part, the movement is the main reason this game is held in such a high regard by most people, largely because during this era of AAA games, it was the first game to make movement more than just having fun and expressing yourself, and actually turn it into a full-on fundamental of the game. For example, a smaller little game that came out at the same time as Sunset Overdrive, which you may have heard of, it's a bit indie, so I wouldn't blame you, called Assassin's Creed, famous for its revolutionary parkour mechanics and stealth sections. We're not taking, the stealth sections are still really good though, okay? I'm not dissing the stealth section. Funny thing about all the movement mechanics in that game is it's just way faster to run on the ground, or in some of the games, ride a goddamn horse or a pirate ship. Sunset Overdrive clearly makes a difference here, largely because running on the floor is like painfully slow, like holy god man, put some pedal to the metal. And even in your death screen, there can be a quote scene saying, no sprint button, try grinding, which I think is just so awesome in this game, all about self-expression and fuck the system. The game literally fucked the system and self-expressed itself in its own way. Now, it's a bit hard for me to talk about the movement without also mentioning the combat here, because it only fortifies everything I just said even more. According to Ted Price, the literal CEO of Insomniac at the time, he came on record to say that he felt games at that time, their combat was so ingrained around the idea of just sitting behind cover and then peeking out to shoot all the time, and he felt that was such a boring gameplay loop. So with that, they wanted to break the rules of combat and created a whole new combat system created around movement and being stylish as possible. This game is just so stylish, it is insane. And I know nowadays, like, games playing into having a sense of style or a sense of artistic direction is so common now. But back then when Sunset Overdrive came out, the only other AAA games on the market were Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and the first of many re-releases of GTA 5. Like, the first gun you get given in the game is a flame shotgun in the shape of a cop named the Flaming Compensator. Like, isn't this just the stupidest shit? It's so good. After making our way through the tutorial and getting to our apartment, we then meet Hank, who is just a right bundle of joy, I assure you.
Follow me.
Now, Hank is easily the most normal person we'll meet in Sunset Overdrive, but he's also the introduction to the game's kind of main shtick, which is that if there is a cliche, they will jump into it as hard as possible. So basically, Hank is just grumpy old guy cliche, if that makes any sense.
Stop talking to that stupid camera and come kill some OD, you fat bitch.
Do you know what? Fuck this man, okay? I'm not doing this shit, alright? He's an asshole, and you all are making me sit here and have to deal with this. Do you know what? No, I'm done. Fuck you, and fuck you, I'm done. This, Hank then takes us to the base where he tells us there are other survivors, and he also lets us know that Fizco is not letting anyone in and not letting anyone out. So obviously they are trying to cover up their very massive fuck up that they have made. And with that, we get introduced to the main group of survivors. Two Hat Jack, the main weapons salesman. So just a tiny question, where do you keep your weapons? Do you keep them in there? Can I? Now, I find it funny because the way the game plays, you would think with the weapons, it would be similar to games like Ultra Kill, where getting introduced to a new weapon is a huge game changer that changes the way the game works entirely and introduces a new way to solve battles and everything like that. It's actually nothing like that. Actually, I would say it's more similar to Borderlands when it comes to the weapons in this game, as the game features 25 unique weapons that you can mix and match as you please. Now, I'm not going to cover all of them, otherwise this video would probably be 6 hours long. But what I will say is I love how the game gives you so much options on how you want to use your weapons and which weapons you want to use. And this is when the game introduces something that I think needs more attention. I think this may be one of the best things Sunset Overdrive made, and that's including the movement. I think this may even be a step above it with how fun it is to do this. It's badges. Okay, let me cook. Now, it's basically this game's version of a glorified skill tree, but instead of speccing into a literal skill tree, the game instead watches what movement and what guns you use the most, and then awards you with badges, which make them stronger in some ways. For example, if you bounce around a lot, you may get a bounce pad badge, which makes it that you bounce higher. Which I think is just amazing, because it means in this game all about self-expression. It watches how you play, and it watches how you express yourself in the game and rewards you with buffs, so that then the things you like doing, you can do more and you can express yourself better through doing things that you like. Isn't this just so good, man? It's so good. Instead of going through a goddamn skill tree and going, yippee, my weapons now do 3% more damage, even though I'm building a fucking melee build. You can get what you want in your builds and do what you want. It's just so much better, man. The other person we meet is Floyd. Floyd. I don't know. It's Floyd with 2 F's.
Hey, I know there's some scary shit out there, but it's all in how you look at it. You tell yourself you're gonna have a good time, you'll have a good time. Am I right? But seriously, those motherfucking OD will tear you apart. Be careful.
It then tells us he's an ex-employee of Fizco and lets us know how Fizco kind of knew all the issues that Overdrive had, but chose to not tell anyone as to not damage their profits, which, I mean, doesn't really make any sense. I feel like people turning into giant zombies would damage your profits more, but, you know, we won't go there. But this is when the game introduces its main repeating mission, which is tower defense. Yeah. Like any tower defense, it entails you defending 2 to 3 main points, while also allowing you to place down traps at any time, which range from a simple slingshot or a giant flamethrower bounce pad. Which, where I think this tower defense actually stands out among other games, is the traps here are actually built around your movement. For example, a lot of the flamethrowers and the Tesla towers, the only way they're activated is through bouncing on them. Do any of you notice that tower defenses are like such a product of its time? Like, for some reason, every single game coming out in like the 2010s had a tower defense. Did you guys remember Assassin's Creed had a tower defense? I didn't even know that. Once completing this mission though, you then get released into Sunset City. Now, I said earlier that the movement is highly based off 90s skating culture, which I've just got to say, if the movement is based off 90s skating culture, then this town is based off a goddamn skate park. This stuff is awesome. Like, I know I spent a while glazing the movement here, but this movement would be nowhere near as good if it wasn't thanks to Sunset City. Where this city really shines is the perfect spacing between the bounce pads and the railings and the walls, okay? Because say goodbye to the days of yellow paint on every surface telling you what you can and can't use, because the geniuses at Insomniac cooked up a new idea. Why not, instead of having some things usable and some not, they just all be usable? You feeling in the mood to use a bounce pad? Don't you worry. We have cars, awnings, vent, umbrellas, and goddammit, even chairs. You want to grind on something? Well, don't you worry. Every single thing in the city now has a railing of some sort. You want a wall run? I've got good news for you. You're in a goddamn city, okay? Everything's got walls. You can wall run wherever you want. Never get to a point where you feel you have to detour or change your course in every way, because it feels like the city has been crafted, so no matter which direction you go in, it feels like the city was perfectly crafted for you to go in that direction. We then get told that Hank has made a helicopter which could allow a few people to escape the city, so then we go over and help him the best way that we can.
Okay, I need you to lift up the carriage a bit more. Now keep it there while I tighten this. Don't let go. What a fuck up.
Now, obviously, we don't feel too good about this, because to give you some reference, we knew Hank for one day, and in the one day we knew him, we ruined his entire plan. So in this, we decide to try and help him to find a propeller, and in order to find that propeller, we need to enlist the help of the Oxfords. Okay, so I'm pretty sure they're just in here. So let's just pop in quickly, hey?
You suck at friends, Sam.
This is the introduction to the game's kind of core gameplay loop, which is meet group, befriend group, do things to make group trust you, and then group gives you what you need. Now, in the game, you do end up meeting 4 groups, which are called factions in-game, but then the community calls them bands, which I actually kind of love, and I don't know why the community in the game call them different things, but I think it's pretty sick. Each of the 4 main groups here are based off late 80s or early 90s American culture though, which I love, because even though the gameplay loop here I usually hate, you know, like meet person, help person, person give you what you want. Because of the way the game is made through the comedy and all that, it was actually really fun to see what the next group would be like and the different stupid antics they would have you get up to. I do have to mention though that I am sorry, this game does suffer from the curse of fetch quests. I'm sorry, it is terminal. This is only a problem with this group specifically though. Even though I haven't seen this online, in my professional owns a green screen and owns a camera and has a Gmail account opinion, I think each of the groups here is made to make fun of a certain type of quest type. And with the Oxfords, that quest type is fetch quest. Now, normally I would actually hate this because I'm not on team, oh, if we decide to do shitty thing on purpose, like shitty quest design, as in fetch quest, then it's not shit anymore because we did it on purpose, guys. But I think Sunset Overdrive does set itself apart through things like quest diversity within the fetch quest area, and the comedy, of course, also helps a shitload. And I think it just gives even more merit to Insomniac for understanding that even if the fundamentals of the quest is shit, if you fill it in with good quality stuff, people aren't even gonna notice that they're doing it. Such as the first guy who asks you to go get him bottled water, but not any type of bottled water. This is Bora water.
Bora Bora water. You can't afford it.
Or another guy which you're worried is like really sad about losing his family. So you go to their apartment to try and find them, and all you find is a voice memo, and oh my god. Okay, I left a voice memo.
If you're hearing this message, then it means you're still alive. Shame. Your mother and I are going to live in the Bahamas. We're cashing out your trust fund so Mommy can drink a lot of champagne and Daddy doesn't have to get a new job. Anyway, best of luck. By the way, have you tried drinking our new overcharged drink yet? I think you'd like it.
And when you opt to tell him that they're just dead because you don't want him to get upset, he instead celebrates and then blocks their number on his phone because his family just died. Doing all this though, you do inevitably gain their trust, in which they build you the propeller and then you go and take it to Hank and fly off into the stratosphere.
We're gonna make it!
Good job, kid. Good job. Turn back.
What? What?
It's too late.
Yep, so Walter died, and you literally get stopped by an invisible wall. You know, trying to make a deep dive on this game is really, really hard. Also, I know the comedy may seem jarring at this point, but something really interesting is back then when Sunset Overdrive came out, it's when games like Borderlands and Saints Row were absolutely flying off shelves and breaking records left and right, which I think was mainly because everyone was getting sick of the same old game over and over and over again. Now, it's super funny to say because originally Sunset Overdrive was meant to be an extremely different game. The city was originally going to be called Greenlight, and it was going to be this super serious, gritty zombie game that was actually set mostly indoors with very little emphasis on movement, if any at all. But Microsoft seeing the just money that the games like Borderlands and Saints Row were pulling in, and then also seeing the breakout success of Insomniac with games like Ratchet and Clank, they instead decided to pivot to a game that was focused around having fun in the apocalypse. Which Microsoft definitely had high hopes for this, because Sunset Overdrive was the launch title of the Xbox One. To give you some perspective, games previously that were launch titles for the Xboxes were games like Halo and the new Call of Duty. So Microsoft was definitely hoping for Sunset Overdrive to be the next big Halo, or at least be their next big franchise, which is just so funny considered how niche Sunset Overdrive is viewed. But sadly, this is a genuine number. Sunset Overdrive was only be able to make a profit of around $567, which I honestly find so sad because I think we're in an era now where people are craving original IPs so badly, with games like Expedition 33 and Silksong literally crashing every market it was sold on from release. Which I just find it really sad that the first time a publisher decided to give an original IP a go, it just got absolutely stomped by sequels again. After dealing with Hank's death in a single cutscene, we then get told that there is someone who should be able to make the plans and build a way out of Sunset City, and that is Scoutmaster Brillcream, the leader of the next group, Troop Bashir. What the fuck? Now arriving at their base, it becomes extremely obvious what cliche they are based off, or at least what two cliches they're based off. Apart from Bushido literally meaning the way of the warrior in Japanese, these guys are highly based off the Scouts. The wilderness must be explored. And for some reason as well, they're also partially based off feudal Japan and follow the ways of the samurai code. I don't really know. Upon entering though, we do discover that Brill Cream has unfortunately gone missing, and the new troop master Norton has no idea why, and the game very nicely tells us that he is totally telling the truth. And this introduces us to the next quest cliche that this group is based off, which is investigating missions. So just imagine any mission you would do in a Batman game.
I don't want to fall down. Thank you so much.
They've got trail missions. They've got satellite dish missions where you're trying to listen in on the enemy's conversations to figure out where they're hiding Brill Cream. But after doing all this, we then discover that they've been keeping Brill Cream hostage inside the back of a garbage truck. So with this, we can finally go grab the guy who can help us build a way out and plan a way out. Am I right, guys? Help us build and plan.
Fine work. Worthy of a fine survivalist. Perhaps you would like to join my troop.
So it turns out he was trapped in the back of the garbage truck for so long that, as any good scout would, he decided to eat off his own arms and legs. So now the guy that was meant to be able to help build and plan it can only plan. It's so stupid. So returning with Brill Cream, it turns out Norton isn't the happiest chappy that we saved the troop leader. So he decides to drink a boatload of overcharge and then turns into a giant traditional Japanese dragon. It's the first major boss fight in the game. There has been a few that I haven't covered, but I think if I covered everything in this game, this video would be way too long for fucking Sunset Overdrive. The game's like $3. If you want to experience everything, just go buy it. And this will probably be the only boss that I cover for a significant amount of time. And that's mainly because I feel like with Norton, this is the first time that Insomniac's way of making really mundane fights shine through game design is just absolutely insane. For example, this fight is kind of just shoot at point and then blow up pussy mass and then click E on the pussy mass and do a finishing move. Oh my god, the use of fourth wall breaks in this is incredible. Your character literally jumps up in the air, grabs the style meter, and jams it in the back of Norton's head. Isn't that just so cool? And such a cool way of using fourth wall breaks, man. I just want to jump. I just want to jump up and down. What am I doing? Once killing Norton though, we then get told by Brill Cream that there's only one man he knows that would be able to build this plan. And that is Ignatius, the king of the Larpers. If you don't know what Larpers are, it basically stands for live action role players, and it means they like to dress up in costumes and meet up and have roleplay fights in real life. Or sometimes it can also mean wanting to meet up for D&D campaigns, but in full costume as well. But the problem is they're not going to talk to us dressed like this. Yes, I bought another costume for this video. Am I planning to wear the beard for the whole time? God, I hope not. I actually just swallowed hair. Through this group, we also get introduced to the other idea present in Sunset Overdrive, which is the idea of having fun in the apocalypse. Also kind of anti-capitalism, but we won't go into that too much. Because throughout the whole game, it kind of explores this idea about how because of big companies like Fizco, people aren't able to achieve greatness and are instead bounded by the shackles of society or something like that. Like our character, for example, in the beginning of the game is a janitor nobody who's achieved nothing, and now throughout the game has become this savior of the city with superpowers. Or even the Larpers, who in side quests you learn were like a bunch of losers that nobody liked. And now, even though people still think they're losers, they're now the most powerful clan out of everyone you meet. But it kind of feels like so out of place in a game like this. Oh my god, I'm done with the beard. I'm done with it. Oh my god. But honestly, I will say that I think it kind of feels really out of place in this game sometimes, because in one scene your character's talking about how he was a nobody and how he's been shunned by society. But now, because of the apocalypse, he feels like he can finally be who he wants to be. And then in the next cutscene, he's murdering OD with a giant flaming cock. Once we get inside the Larpers base though, we do get told that Ignatius has fallen gravely ill, and how we must now venture on a great quest with them to find food for the great King Ignatius. I'm not doing that accent. It's at this point that we also discover that they have been living off weed brownies the entire time. So now we have to defend them while they pick weed out of their growing area. I actually just take back that this game had meaning, okay? Now, it does become quite obvious what type of quest these guys are based off, which is just defense missions. But what I gotta say is they pull it off so goddamn good with these guys. Like, these guys are easily the best group in the game with the best missions. Like, they're just actually hilarious, and you can tell the developers put easily the most amount of effort into everything involved with them. For example, while you're defending them, pick out their weed plants, you're not just shooting the OD. No, that would be boring. Instead, the game gives you access to 5 different catapults that you can launch into different areas as you please, while in the background, they are playing bardic versions of classic punk rock songs from the 2010s, bro. Like, these guys are just so sick. Even the mission after this, where you discover that the main reason he's probably sick is because he's been constantly eating weed brownies this whole time, so you have to go get him some real food, in which how you do that is by putting breadcrumbs on the flamethrower traps that you've been using throughout the game, and then you wait for pigeons to gather and jump on the bounce pad so that they shoot flamethrowers and cook all these pigeons for their food. It's so much better because after it, you have to lead these 3 people filled with cooked pigeon in their trolleys as they like pedal along being like, "To Fargathia, my people." It's just so funny. After the food not working, we then decide we have to try and get Ignatius medicine. But obviously, he's not prone to liking to taking pills, is he? So you have to take a copious amount of drugs, swim in a leech pool, then do like an entire drug trip mission, take the leeches off, and then put them on the king.
Satan's fire has been quenched. You are a hero to Fargathia, and a medical wizard. Perhaps you can take a look at this postulant growth I have on my...
No, I only work on kings. Sorry, it's the law.
Now, I'm not one for usually putting complaints in my videos because I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to make a video game. I just buy costumes and stand in front of a green screen and kind of point at things, so I feel like I have no right to say if something's right or wrong here. But I do think the one negative that Sunset Overdrive has, which is a pretty small one to be honest, why does this game not have multiplayer, man? And do not start about the fucking like separate multiplayer that they offer, that by the way, if you play the game on PC, is just not there. And the main reason I think it's missing out on not having a multiplayer campaign is because, unpopular opinion here, but this game has aged way better comedy-wise and combat-wise than Borderlands 2. And I love Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 is my sweet baby girl. This game is everything to me. I love it so much. But the thing is, revisiting Borderlands is I realized the main reason I have such fond memories of the game is because I actually loved experiencing the comedy of Claptrap or meeting all the crew for the first time while playing the game with my friends. And I've got a bit of an altered memory here because when I played Sunset Overdrive with the time, I played it alongside my other friend where we would hop in Xbox group chat together and then we would play Sunset Overdrive at the same time and stop to make sure the other person would catch up and stuff like that. It's just made it so amazing because meeting Ignatius and seeing the catapults and doing these bardic missions, I actually remember from when I was younger. But the main part I find so fond about it was experiencing it with my friend. And that's just the comedy here. This game is so rooted in the idea of having the most self-expression in any game I've ever met. You have so many builds and so much customization variety. It is insane. Yet the game doesn't offer the ability to show it off. Why have a game where you can self-express yourself and show yourself off in any way you want and not have a multiplayer to show people that, man? Through doing the leech drug mission though, Ignatius does start feeling better. And at this point of the game, it does kind of just turn into a ping pong of like helping the defense mission over here, helping the defense mission over there, grabbing this for him over here, doing this over there. It's honestly not that bad at all because the comedy here is like peak. Like I'm sitting here at 20 years old and I still think this shit is so funny.
Take cover, man.
Hey, are you Lawrence? Lawrence the leper?
I ain't a leper. Ignatius just calls me that because I gave his sister crabs.
After Ignatius building the plan though, we then discovered that the master plan was to make a boat out of trash. So then the invisible wall just thinks it's trash and will let us pass through. I know, it's really stupid, but I think I've said that like 8 times already. But with that, we then hop on the boat, get all of our friends, and we leave Sunset City.
Adios, Fizco. Go suck yourself, Sunset City. Hello, vacation. Sam?
Help! Fizco is getting rid of the evidence!
What evidence?
Us! We're the evidence!
We have to go.
So while on the boat, we discovered that Fizco didn't really like what we were doing, so they sent a boatload of robots to try and kill everyone so that we couldn't escape and tell everyone what happened at Sunset City. And through saving everyone, we also learned that they have a massive weapon that they plan to use to kill the entire city. So then the game shifts to, instead of escape the city as our objective, we now have to save the city. But with that, we're told that there is one final group that knows how to get to this weapon. Which are based off the La Coloravina Katrina, which is a zinc etching from the early 1910s by Mexican artist Jose Cundel Bop Posada. Damn, I didn't even try to hide that I copy-pasted that directly from Wikipedia. What the f— Or they're just based off the Mexican culture of the Day of the Dead. So you probably know that one. You know, like, caca. But after finding the lost Katrinas, you then discover that they actually run a clinic to help sick children. Very similar to the cartel in The Walking Dead. I don't think that meant to connect there, but the whole time I was playing the game, I was like, is this meant to be like a reference? Like, how come both the Mexican cultures in 2 different forms are saving children? I presume everyone loves saving children. With this, we're introduced to the last type of quest design that they are making fun of. And with the lost Katrinas, it is gaining the trust of a group. Yeah, it's really stupid. But it's made super obvious because your character literally says it in a cutscene. So, I mean, it has to mean it, right?
Okay, here's how this is gonna go. First, I'll run some errands for you, then you'll like me, and then you'll help me.
Not gonna happen.
I know it's super subtle, very, very niche. You wouldn't have noticed if I didn't make this video. But this does lead to one of the best missions in the game where your character decides the best way to make her. This does lead to one of the best missions in the game where your character does decide the best way to gain the lost Katrina's trust is through making a radioactive Excalibur sword instead of, you know, maybe accommodating to the kids or something like that. Can you quit it with the kicking, dude? I'm trying to make a video here, bro. The main reason this is sick, by the way, is because you literally go to a nuclear facility in which you ground pound uranium constantly until you get a sword which you learn can summon lightning and flaming tornadoes, and then the game makes you sit out the front of their base and kill 999 robots with your flaming Excalibur sword that shoots tornadoes and lightning bolts, and it's just an amazing mission and made my little goopy brain make goopy noises and all these happy juices. And then that plan fails, obviously, because I don't think the Lost Katrinas really give a shit about a sword. But while we're leaving in defeat, a kid tells us that he always wanted to attend a rock concert. So with that, we decide to assemble a band, which we do, and I don't know, they make a really big deal out of this guy who's apparently a rock legend. I don't know if he's like meant to be based off someone. But all I know is at the end of the mission, he flies away on a, like, Mary Poppins. With this, the Los Catrinas finally tell us how to get into the Fizco building, in which we gather all of our friends together, ride towards the building, can't discover the weapon, so our character decides to get on top of a giant overcharged bottle that's conveniently sitting next to the building, rides it into the building, in which he dies in the most heroic way possible, and then the credits roll. Except they don't. Your character doesn't actually want to die, so instead he rewinds time, and then we discover that the weapon was actually the building. So then we kill the building with our gun. It's all a happy ending, and it's amazing, and this is actually the ending of the game. And then this kid does like a really funny dance. I don't know, I thought this dance was really, really funny. So then I guess the big question here is Sunset Overdrive good? Is this the next big Halo? Did this game deserve to be the next Microsoft franchise? Fuck no. I think my main takeaway for all of it is I wish developers would make games like this again. You know, I'm not someone who's always looking for a game that's going to make me cry my eyes out or going to make me so deeply invested in it that it's this like crazy magnum opus Christopher Nolan video game. Sometimes I'm just booting up a video game to have fun and to dick around and not care about what's happening. And it's like, why do developers not see people asking for that and see the love this game is getting years later and see the love that games like Expedition and Silksong are getting as well, and not looking at that and thinking to change, you know? Like, developers, 2 points. If you know, this is a recipe, you can thank me. This is FridgeArc's way to make $1 billion, right? Step 1, make games fun again. Pretty simple one. Step 2, make Bloodborne 2. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. That's the end. This is it. There's nothing more for you to come for. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Sorry it took me so long. It took me like ages to make this video. I was very busy. It was like during a holiday period, and then this was easily, if you couldn't tell, the most effort I've put into a video when it comes to costumes, and I've got a new setup now. If you, well, you can't tell, I'm in front of a green screen. Don't put this at the end of the video.